Practices that are smaller than this are usually not going to be able to warrant or justify a purchase price that is north of, that is above the revenue number. Take it how you want it. Here's another thing that's interesting, right? Hey, welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to talk about valuations, practice, physical therapy practice valuations, and specifically this tool that I use that if you're a practice owner, you probably will want to use this tool for free. I'm not affiliated with them at all. It's called dealstream.com. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. We've done these in the past. The audience, you guys love it. Practice owners love it. So we're going to look at a practice. I'm going to pick one from my email. And I'm going to screen share now. So if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, I think you'll get the gist of it, but you'll get a little bit more of the financials and have a little bit more in front of you if you are watching on YouTube. So again, if you're a practice owner and you're thinking like, what's my exit strategy? What's my succession plan? What are practices worth, and what are comparables? What are they being priced at? What are they being sold at? And I have examples right now, and in the near future, I'm going to share and do more of these that show different practices of different sizes, physical therapy practices, different sizes, different locations, different states, with a description. So it's kind of like these broker listings in a way. And you could do the same thing. I have no affiliation with DealStream. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen now. And this is my email inbox. And you see a whole bunch of emails from DealStream, some that I've opened and some that I haven't. So we're going to just pick one. And today we're going to go this one, multi-locations, physical therapy practice. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. Multiple location physical therapy practices in Las Vegas, Nevada. $5.25 million. Management will stay. This is basically like a broker listing. So I'm going to read it right now. We're going to go through the financials. I'm going to tell you what I like, what I don't like about it. Is this something that we would look at? The Raiders, NFL football, the Raiders recently moved to Las Vegas. So, there's maybe a little bit more going on in town. And that sphere with the U2 concerts and a whole bunch of other concerts at that sphere thing. So listen, Las Vegas is not for everyone. Been there once. But maybe you'd want to relocate and look at this deal and buy it, or maybe it's for you, or maybe it's not. But let's get into it. We're going to talk about financials and all that. This is a broker listing, and I'm going to read it right now. Here we go. And again, this is access. You can access this. You can go to dealstream.com. There's others that I'll screen share in the near future, other websites that we use. It's kind of like an aggregator website of like different on-market deals. And if you're an owner, you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to any buyer out there, any corporate, whatever. You could do these types of things, and you kind of can get, I think you can get a gist of what are physical therapy practices being sold for, or at the very least being priced at. So this is being priced at before there's negotiation or whatever. And please keep in mind that these are typically broker advisor listings, which means, as you all probably know, and if you don't, here we go. Some of these might be inflated 10, 15, 20% in some cases. Sometimes I see these deals, these offerings, and they are priced appropriately. Some are probably underpriced. It's kind of like real estate, right? There's always going to be like high demand, low demand, and the pricing it may or may not reflect that. So anyway, let's get into it. An exceptional opportunity to acquire a profitable and highly regarded multi-location physical therapy practice in the Western USA. Year over year revenue growth increased 25% in 2022 and is expected to continue to grow. With the addition of a recently opened clinic, over the past 18 years, the practice has primarily focused on personal injury treatments, but also covers a wide range of physical therapy services, including sports, pediatrics, ortho, neuro. The practice has over 40 staff members, so it's a fairly decent sized practice. 40 staff members who have a reputation for continually delivering excellent patient care. Offices are fully automated and use Web PT for billing and patient management for a seamless experience at all locations. Okay, now we get into a little bit more of the financials and more information here. Some of these listings, by the way, will have a lot of details like this. That's why I picked this one. And some of the broker listings have less detail. And depending on that, you can, inquire, put your name and information in. Again, I have no affiliation with DealStream or any of these other websites. So you can always put your name and information in and speak to a broker or advisor and get more info. But this one has a good amount of info. So here we go. 2022, 2023 revenues average over $4 million, and the practice 3-year average gross revenue over 3.6 million, and the 3-year average of SDE is over $1 million. So SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, it's kind of like net income. It's EBITDA, it's your net income plus your add backs if you're an owner. We can get into that. Real estate assets are available for 3 of the locations, or leases for all 4 locations. So the practice owner, it doesn't say yet, but, and I haven't even read this. I haven't even gone through this. I'm just doing this live with you right now. So whoever owns this practice owns the real estate of 3 of the 4 locations. So you could buy the real estate. For us, we're not looking to buy the real estate. Other buyers out there, other corporates, they're not really typically looking to buy the real estate. They're just looking to buy the practice and the book of business and the team and all that. So the clinics are strategically located adjacent to the Beltway and Interstate in a major metropolitan area that offers substantial growth prospects. Summary of benefits for this multi-location outpatient physical therapy practice opportunity. And by the way, these broker advisor listings, they're always going to say, this is a great opportunity. There's a lot of upside here, right? I always laugh and joke because it's like, well, I mean, we're going to have to put some time and effort in to capture this opportunity that you're talking about. But anyway, that's just, I'm on the buy side, so a little tongue in cheek here. Okay. As a recap, establish 4 location practice with loyal patient base, 3 with street level access. So that's great for your geriatric patients that might be, having a assisted device, walker, rollator, wheelchair, whatever it might be. All locations fully staffed and managed without the seller. So the seller is an absentee owner. So that's great to hear. So it's kind of like a buyer like us or another buyer out there. Like we do kind of want ideally an absentee owner. So that's great. You kind of unplug that owner and plug us in or any other buyer. And it should not really disrupt the team, the morale, the culture. Things will change a little bit. Some people might leave and get scared. But overall, patients might not even notice a difference. And that's what a buyer wants, to minimize risk. 2023 revenue over $4 million, highly trained and experienced physical therapists and assistants in place. Seller assistance provided to ensure smooth transition of employees and referring partners, locations in one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas and economies in the nation. I don't know if that's true. If it is, interesting. The Las Vegas, the fact that the Raiders moved there, they did a whole bunch of due diligence and all that. So I could bet, I don't know that for sure, if that's a fact, if that's true or not. But fastest growing metropolitan areas and economies in the nation. I mean, it sounds like it makes sense. Centralized system for billing and patient management. This practice has multiple owned and leased locations, optional sale for 3 real estate properties, owned by the seller. Leased locations total 3,320 square feet with a total monthly rent of about $6,000. The seller is active in the business. So hold on, I'm reading this and I'm reading this for the first time. The seller is active in the business with 32 full-time employees and 10 part-time employees. Okay, so 42 employees. Awesome. Above, it said that the seller is basically, what did it say? It said the seller was absentee, right? You heard that. Okay. And now it's saying the seller is active in the business. Well, which one is it? Anyway, here we go. It's a broker listing. You get what you get, and you can't be picky. We're going to ask the broker, hey, what's going on here? Like, is the owner critical and crucial to the daily operation of the practice or not? Are they playing golf all the time and vacationing in Italy all the time? Or are they running payroll and, leading meetings and coaching team members and doing onboarding and recruiting and part of the hiring process and all that? So 2 different situations there. Anyway, let's move on. Hours of operation, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday. So that's awesome. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., not just Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. That's awesome. $479,000 in FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that would be like treatment tables, the stuff in the lobby, like couches. What else? Computers, laptops. Like, there's not a lot of big equipment, but some of the treatment tables are, they could be a couple $1,000 each. And so you got the FF&E included in the asking price, $764,000 made in leasehold improvements. Okay, like over what, a couple years, or like in the 18 years of there, so okay, we got to dig into that. How much do they want credit for in leasehold improvements? No special license required to own. Physical therapist must be licensed, obviously. Okay. Now we can get into the finances right here. You'll see it if you are on YouTube. Okay. We have sales, by the way. You should know this, but sales would be the revenue of the practice. So a little over $4 million, $4,037,273. So a little over 4 million in sales. Typically, it's either going to be the trailing 12 months or it's going to be like last year. So we're in 2024. This could be, it doesn't really say, but it could be 2023's annual numbers, or it could be the trailing 12 months leading up to, I don't know, whenever I got this email, May or June or whatever, like a little bit of this year and last year. Whenever the broker makes the confidential information memorandum, which is the packet that you would get after this by looking at this and calling and inquiring and saying, hey, I want more information, they would send you some packet that the broker built out and typed up and all that. And in that, it'll say the revenue number that we're looking at is the trailing 12 months, so a little bit of this year and some of last year, or it's going to say the 2023 annual numbers anyway. And here we go. We got a price of $5,250,000 as the purchase price. This is like, these listings will sometimes have prices. A lot of times they do. Sometimes they don't. So if they don't, if you like the description, you got to inquire. And there's pros and cons of both of those things. And then with cash flow, $829,706. Just for easy discussion today, we'll say cash flow, and you'll have to talk to a broker advisor, your accountant, whoever, maybe your lawyer or whatever, whoever's going to help you package up your practice and sell it or negotiate on your behalf, or you're going to negotiate on your own if you're speaking with us or another buyer out there. Cash flow is, we're gonna say basically, what's the net income of your practice after some add backs? So like whatever the add backs are that you have on the business books that would not be on the business books if we acquired your practice next month. So if we acquire this practice, 4 locations in Las Vegas, what's the cash flow? What are the net profits after add backs? And if you have personal family expenses on the books, sometimes we see that. Actually, oftentimes we see that. And so those things would get added back to your cash flow or your profit number, your EBITDA or your adjusted EBITDA, and there's other episodes on that, would be this number. So let's just say, for argument's sake, this is correct. We have no idea. We don't know. We haven't looked at the financials. So we'll just take this listing as is. This cash flow number, what I would typically do is I'm going to look at the asking price and or the revenue, and then kind of compare that to the cash flow. And we can kind of get like, first of all, what we do is we want to say like, what's this EBITDA multiple or this cash flow multiple? So basically like your broker, your advisor, whatever, you want to kind of build up over time this cash flow number. You want to build up your profits because a buyer is going to look at the profits and say, how much profit does this practice actually have? If we were to buy it, how much and how many years will it take us to pay off this deal, this transaction, based off of this? Like, if we don't grow it at all, what's the cash flow number? And in this case, $829,706. So if we compare that to the asking price of $5,250,000, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do got my calculator here. $5,250,000 divided by 829,706, and that gives us a 6.3 multiple. Now, I would say pretty commensurate, pretty appropriate, makes sense for this size of a practice. Again, they got 42 employees, 32 full-timers, 10 part-time employees. They have 4 locations. They have scale. They're open 5 days a week, full days. What's this, like 11 hours of operation, 6 days a week. So awesome. Like, they're open, they're doing business, they're doing well. Typically, when we're looking at a practice, like, again, it says sales of 4 million, a little over 4 million is the revenue, the annual revenue of this practice. Typically, with practices either this size, but definitely practices smaller. So if you have 1, 2, 3 locations, but especially if you have 1 or 2 locations, you're really not, you don't really have a lot of leverage to have an asking price that's greater than your revenue number. The revenue number can sometimes be like a vanity metric. What really matters is the cash flow. For us, any other buyers out there, we're going to say we have to figure out in due diligence. We look at your financials. We sign a non-disclosure agreement, mutual non-disclosure agreement. We keep things confidential. Then we look at tax returns, your profit and loss statement, your income statement, your balance sheet, all that type of stuff. We ask about add backs, what personal items might be on the business books, your spouses, your whole families, car payments, gym memberships, iPhone, smartphone bills, like all the things that are not crucial to the practice to lower your tax liability. So you got more of these deductions on your business books. We see it all the time. We're not looking to be whistleblowers. We're not reporting any of that to the IRS. We need to know what are the items that we need to pull off the measurement of your cash flow, of your adjusted EBITDA, so we know how much cash this practice actually has, because that tells us how financially healthy this practice is. And if we can figure out and get agreement on the health of the practice, then we reduce risk. We want to minimize or mitigate risk as much as possible so that the transition would be smooth. And if whether we're taking money out of our pockets or our bank accounts or getting financing, whatever, the money needs to be recouped one way or the other. And one way to do that is to make sure that this cash flow is appropriate up front so that there's no cash gaps later. We need the cash for obviously running payroll and the rent and all the other expenditures, right? Of course. So we did 5,250,000 divided by $829,706 of cash flow to get a 6.3 multiple. Now, if we take the revenue, 4,037,273 divided by the cash flow, 829,706, we get, it's pretty much it's like a 5 multiple, 4.87 multiple. So meaning you take this cash flow number, the $829,000, and we multiply by 4.87 to get the revenue number. Again, we're just using some of these numbers. Now the multiple, again, for a service-based business is kind of going to be like in the 2 to 7 range, and like the 1 or 2 multiple would be like a solo practice or a very smaller practice. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 multiple on cash flow or multiple on adjusted EBITDA will be for a practice that has like this 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever locations. The multiple is a sliding scale. The multiplier or the multiple is a sliding scale, and it depends on a lot of factors, and it's subjective. These things are objective, right? So like your revenue, it is what it is. At the end of the day, your revenue for the past 12 months, it is what it is. Whatever it is, it is. The cash flow, your adjusted EBITDA number, it is what it is. Very objective. And then depending on you, your broker, the upside of your practice, are you absentee or not? Do you have technology, whatever it might be. Like this, I love this practice by reviewing. They're open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. That is a lot of open hours, right? So like that, but then that might also not leave you the ability to expand into a Saturday because they already have a Saturday open. So you need to assess, or we as the buyers need to assess, like, hey, does this practice, is Saturday busy or not? Or like, does it need, most physical therapy practices are not open Saturday and Sunday, but who knows? Maybe we could open Sunday as well and be 7 days a week, like a Starbucks. Who knows? So, and then there's some deal terms after this, like represented by broker, yes. Buyer fee, no. Excellent. Seller financing available on request. Is this a franchise? No, we're not looking to buy a franchise. We want to have our own playbook. We don't want to play and operate by someone else's playbook. This is huge. Management will stay? ? Yes. So we want management to stay, especially a practice this big, depending on how much the business owner, the practice owner is involved in the practice. we might need them to either be there for 12 to 24 months as part of the deal, as part of some consulting or employment arrangement, whether we pay them hourly, whether we pay them salary, whatever. It really depends on the practice. But I'll tell you what, this is an interesting deal. This is something that, like, I don't know if we would do at this time, but if I were, someone to potentially open to relocating to Las Vegas for this type of a practice, this is a pretty big size practice to get into, and then to be, owner operator, and then kind of see if you can expand or add some more locations or grow it and maybe sell it in the next 3 to 7 or 10 years or whatever. So this is something that this I like, other than I'm in New York City and Las Vegas is pretty far away. And as an investment, totally could be. In terms of me helping with the day-to-day with in-person meetings and trainings and things like that with team members and onboarding and interviewing in person, all that really would be tough for me to swing right now, but I like it. Again, practices that are smaller than this are usually not going to be able to warrant or justify a purchase price that is above the revenue number. Take it how you want it. Here's another thing that's interesting, right? You have this listing. You can click this listing. I click this listing from the email and it's loading, and it's okay. So now I jumped over again. I have no affiliation with dealstream.com. You can check it out if you're an owner, get on their email list, and they will send you these, I don't know, weekly almost, and there's no cost. Here's just the same thing. It's just laid out on their website instead of in their email. So you could create an account if you want. I don't even think I've created an account. I can't remember. You could, let's see, this was added on April 19th of 2024, and it was renewed on May 24th, 2024. The time of this recording is June 18th. So this was renewed like 3 weeks ago. So this is still fairly new and recent. And here's what you also can keep in mind. This practice, like, it's Las Vegas, 4 locations with doing 4 something million. Let's say you keep this in mind. Let's say you save this episode, you come back to this listing in 3 to 6 months. If the listing is still here, and this is just like part of the like comparables and market dynamics. You come back to this link in 3 to 6 months, and what I'll do, I'll make sure, Nate, if we can get this link, put this link in the show notes so the audience can check this out and they can see that it's clickable, and they can go through it on DealStream if they wanted to. Again, I don't get anything from it. We'll put it in the show notes so you can check it out, because you come back to this link in 3 to 6 months, or if you're watching this episode on YouTube or wherever, 3 to 6 months from now, so like fall or winter of this year, you click on this link and let's see if it's still listed. It'll either be pulled down, the price will either go up or down, but in my estimation, I bet the price goes down, or it might say unavailable or sold or whatever. So that's something that, like, sometimes you want to track, like, do these things move or not? It's kind of like real estate. Like, you find some house that's near you that you like, and maybe you think it's overpriced, and you kind of just want to do like a wait and see, and you're on Street Easy or Zillow or one of these other websites, and you can save the street address, and you can kind of come back to it and see if the price goes up or down, or if it's purchased, or if it gets pulled off the market. So those are some things to consider. That's it for now. I would strongly consider acquiring this practice at the very least, speaking to the broker advisor, getting the financials. It's got a lot of cash flow. If this cash flow number is true, right? If this cash flow number here is true, is it worth a 5 to 6? What did we say? We said a 6.3 multiple for the asking price. But if we compared the revenue to this cash flow number, it was, what did we say? 4.8 something, whatever. So comparable, appropriate, not out of the ballpark, not completely unreasonable. I think this is priced reasonably. Subscribe to the David Kittle Show on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify if you found this valuable or helpful. Like I said, if you're a practice owner, you should be doing these things. You should be going on DealStream, and there's many, many others. See what other practices are being listed at. See if they stay on the market. Does the price increase? Probably not, because it's usually going to be, the price is going to be presented. The asking price is usually going to be a little bit, like I said, inflated 10, 15, 20%. We all know it. We all know it. All right. So you might see the price go down. It's kind of like I said, it's like real estate. A house gets listed on the market, and the price of the house is not usually going to go up in the next 6 months, right? It doesn't increase. Someone might come with a cash offer, or someone comes and purchases it for above asking, and then it's pulled. The whole listing is pulled off because now it was purchased and it's off. It's taken, right? So this $5.2 million asking price, we're not going to see it go to 5.5 or above, because again, it's doing $4 million in revenue, and revenue doesn't really matter. What we need is the cash flow of the practice. Again, we would have to do due diligence on that $829K, because in some cases we dig in there, we find out like maybe 60 to 70% of it is actual cash and profit, and other things we're kind of throwing in there. So that's it for now, Dave Kittle Show. Hopefully you find that helpful and valuable. Subscribe to the show, and we will publish on more episodes like this in the near future. Thank you. Bye. Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.